What are some habits or practices that would make it unreasonable for someone to not succeed? To make it mathematically impossible for them to fail? What are some of those inputs?
I think it would be mathematically impossible for you to fail if you consistently post a minimum of 3 pieces of content on whatever platform of choice. So let's say you want to do Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. So this is all together, like 3 pieces of content. Reach out to at least 5 people per day that could be potential collaborators or clients, because just putting stuff out there onto the internet does not do anything unless you are actively making relationships and reaching out to people. So I think it's putting out content, connecting with humans. And then I would say there's a really important factor that people gloss over, because you can be connecting with people, having a great offer, putting yourself out there on the internet all the time and doing all of this stuff. But if you are not taking care of yourself and you're not healthy and you're not happy and you don't have the energy to sustain the lifestyle that you're building, which is if you are becoming an entrepreneur and you are putting yourself out there, you want to speak on stages, you want to be on podcasts, you want to have 3-hour-long conversations like this, you want to be creating content all the time, you got to be firing at all cylinders when it comes to your health. And so for me, a big non-negotiable is exercising, eating right, and getting enough sleep. And I think that that's not talked about as much it's talked about, but not as much as like a really big lever that you can pull to make yourself more successful.
Yeah.
People ask me a lot of the time, don't you get exhausted and burnt out? And I think that's the reason that most people quit. They get exhausted and burnt out. And up until this point, who knows what's going to happen in the future, but up until this point, I've not had any kind of burnout situation. And I think it's a result of, number one, like really falling madly in love with what I'm doing and enjoying it. And I think that comes from just really leaning into what could this look like if it was something that was fun, and building it that way, which is authenticity, and really getting clear on what that looks like for me. But number 2, making my health a number 1 priority, because if my health is not only with what I can control, right? We can't control all the health things, but we can control if we get up and go to the gym. We can control the food that we put in our body. We can control what time we get into our bed at night. And if you've got that stuff working for you, posting 3 times a day, reaching out to people, getting your ass up to go do the podcast, doing the things that are really terrifying to do, all of that's a little bit easier when you feel really awesome and you feel confident in yourself and you're taking care of your body.
How much has your account grown in the last month?
Over 100,000 followers in 30 days.
And do you think that that's because of one thing you did, or do you think it's because of...
It's a lot of things I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is something that would give me context as to who you are right now from when you grew up?
What's interesting now, and you said what would give you context to what I do now, is I am no longer an actress that gets paid to say someone else's lines. And the reality that I'm living does not look anything like the reality that I thought I would live, where I thought that I was going to be being characters on stages. But now I'm having those moments where I'm on stage in front of thousands of people, sometimes thousands, hundreds of people all the time, where I feel in my bones that I have like them. I'm like, oh my God, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is so amazing. But I'm not acting. I'm not singing and dancing. I'm speaking. And if you would have told me when I was little, like, Jenny, you're going to be a public speaker, I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm going to be an actress. But all I really wanted was to have that connection with an audience. I don't know if it was I liked the attention, I liked the feeling, I like connecting with people. I just was born to perform. But sometimes, and this is for the listener, if you have a dream, sometimes you get the dream, but sometimes you don't get the exact dream, but you get something so much better that you didn't even know existed.
Talking about your upbringing, do you have a good relationship with your parents?
My dad and I, both my parents and I have a good relationship. My dad and I have a very, very, very special relationship. We didn't have a theater in my high school, Coral Springs Charter School. I think they have a theater now, but they didn't then. So we would do all of our productions in the hallway. It was real janky. But my dad would be there in the front row. And I remember it like it was yesterday. We got in the car after one of those stupid performances. And he was like, Jenny, you are going from hallway to Broadway. You better believe it. Like everything I did was, yes, you can. Go for it. However, a lot of shit happened in my family that was not so good. I will say here on this podcast for them, hi, Mom and Dad, the reason that I turned out the way that I did, despite everything that happened in our family, was because of the love that they had for me and the support, and that they instilled in me all the time, you can do anything that you want. My dad got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 14. And as a result, it wasn't as a result of that diagnosis, but when that happened, he realized I'm not happy in my marriage and I don't want to live in an unhappy marriage for the short time, not short time, but for the time that I have left with this disease. And so my parents got divorced and I was about, like I said, 14. What happened, I think, when I look back was I had all this love and attention from both my parents for growing up. And I was very addicted to that love and attention because I had so much of it. And then it kind of came crashing down and no one was paying attention to me. And understandably so. My mom was dealing with her stuff. My dad was dealing with his stuff. And I went and tried to find all of that love and attention from anywhere else I could get it. And I really went into a bad place when I was in middle school and high school. And I had a terrible eating disorder. And I really struggled in school. Basically, barely graduated high school. Stopped going to class. I was partying all the time, sneaking out of the house. Just not a happy girl. Very sad. And it was a really, really rough time for me. I really wish that somebody would have said to me, all of the things that make you different and unique are going to be the very things that make you unbelievably successful as an adult. So embrace them and lean into them. I didn't embrace them. I didn't lean into them. I thought anything that made me weird or different was something I needed to get rid of.
It sounds like you're saying high school is dictating what femininity is to you.
Yeah.
Did you have anybody else?
My grandma, she was the most unapologetically authentic woman I have ever known in my life. And I grew up watching her and thank God for her. And I do believe, I'm getting emotional, I do believe that the woman that I am today is a lot to do with what she instilled in me as far as being embracing yourself. And it took me a really long time to find it.
What would conversations with her look like?
She would walk into a room and she would make every single person in the room feel unbelievably seen. She would make them feel fabulous and special and compliment them. And if she saw something beautiful, she would make note of it. So what my grandma taught me just by observing her was make people feel seen, find more awe and gratitude for the little things that are all around you, and do what you love and wear what you love and be what you love and what you want to be, not for anybody else other than the fact that because it makes you feel happy. Because when you are lit up and you feel happy, like when my grandma was like being my grandma, the entire vibe and energy of the space was uplifted because she didn't care about other people judging her. She was just being herself.
Before we keep going, I want to take a minute to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the easiest way to record a podcast that actually looks and sounds professional. Your guest clicks a link on their browser, they don't have to download any application, and you can record up to 4K footage uncompressed so that even if you have bad Wi-Fi, it downloads locally to your computer. And in the edit, every speaker gets their own audio track so that even if you don't know how to edit videos, you can just edit it based off of the transcript by itself. You can click one button and all the filler words are removed, the AI cleans up all the audio, and it turns your episode into ready to post content on all platforms. And one of my favorite parts is that it generates solid newsletter content for you, as well as clips and short form videos. It even handles hosting and distribution, meaning this is the only software that you need if you want to make a podcast. So if you want to try it for 1 month, click the link down below and use the code GRANT and you'll get access to the Grow Plan. I'm so grateful for Riverside as a partner of this podcast because they help me make all of this happen. Now, let's get back to the episode.
How did that translate to you as a high schooler? Because I'm trying to think, like, you had, I'm not going to say difficult home life, but you had tumultuous experiences that you had to process through, and so that built resentment. What do you see in your experience that was a good thing for you to have experienced? And what are things that you think that you just wish you avoided?
Well, I don't wish I avoided any of it, to be completely honest. I think I needed all of it. I really do. I think I needed everything that I went through in order to become the person that I am today. I even look back, I'm like, I can't believe I turned out the way that I did. There could have been 1 or 2 turns that I could have made that were this close that would have put me on a completely different path. And I think that that has a lot to do with I got all of it out of my system and I'm so grateful that nothing bad happened to me at that time. But what was the saving grace? What was the thing that was always there that got me through that time and still ended up getting me somehow to New York City, to studying musical theater, to building my own business and all the things that I was able to do? I think a lot of it had to do with what my parents instilled in me that was always there subconsciously. No matter what, I never felt not supported and not loved. I could do what I wanted to do in my life. But at some point in time, I started trusting myself, whether I realized it or not. I had this little thought in the back of my mind that was like, I'll figure it out. And I think that came later, but as an entrepreneur today, I still feel that. I feel that very strongly. And I think a lot of people would call that confidence. Confidence is essentially just self-trust. I think that shift, if I can scooch to a little bit later in my life, I want a breakdown to break through moment was one of the first moments where I really realized that I could trust myself and take care of myself. And I really built a lot of confidence was when after my acting career pretty much ended, I found myself in a really, really scary place. I was living in New York City and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was in a relationship with this guy that I thought that I was going to marry, but it was a really bad relationship. I secretly knew that it wasn't right. He ended up leaving me for one of our friends. And I was on this TV show and this TV show got canceled. And I was just not in a good state, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. And I had to move into this like little tiny room in this apartment with 6 other actors. And there was like this window that faced a brick wall. And it was just the most depressing situation. And I really spiraled. And I felt very helpless and hopeless, not knowing like, what am I going to do with my life? This acting thing is not working for me. I thought I was going to marry this guy. Like, that's not happening. I've lost myself. My mom came into the city to take care of me, essentially, because I was in a really not good place. And my mom's very into spirituality and personal development. And at that time, I was not. I didn't want to hear it. And she came into the city during this time and she brought me this book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. It's a book full of affirmations. And they're just like self-healing affirmations that you can say. And she knew I wasn't going to read the book because she's very smart. And so she gives me this book and she leaves my apartment and I open up the book and one of the affirmations that she wanted me to read falls out. She photocopied it. And I look at it and on the back, it says, Jenny, I hope you find yourself again. And I remember, Grant, in this moment, thinking, I really want to throw this bullshit away and just, this is so stupid. Like, I'm going to throw this out the window. But there was this little tiny piece of me. And my husband calls this the rule of 51%. My husband, Chris Whitfield, I will quote him on this. He always says that you don't have to believe in anything 100% to change your life. You just have to believe a little bit more than you don't. Like 51%. And there was a tiny little bit of percentage in me that believed that I could just read this affirmation. So I made one commitment to myself. This was my first parlay into really doing something hard that I didn't want to do and sticking with a commitment. I said, you're going to read this dumb affirmation every day. So I put it on my refrigerator and I made one commitment to myself. You don't have to do anything else but read this thing. Even if you don't believe in it, even if you hate it, even if you think it's stupid. But what happened with that is I would wake up every day and I would read the affirmation. And I don't know if it was the affirmation that changed my life. I really don't. Maybe partially. But what I really think started to happen was I was sticking with a commitment I made with myself. I was doing something that I said that I was going to do. So subconsciously what that does is it like puts a little coin in your confidence bank. Oh, you stick with the commitment you say you're gonna do. So I would read the affirmation and I would get from 51% to like 52 that day. And then I'd get up and I'd read it again. I'd get to like 53%. And I started getting out of the house and going to Barnes & Noble and reading personal development books and reading business books and got my job at a gym, my first job ever after my acting career ended. And sticking with that one commitment every day made me addicted to sticking with commitments. And then I started building my business and like everything parlayed from there. But really crazy, this is like side note that I talk about a lot, so maybe people have heard me say this, but this is just the wildest thing. There's a Steve Jobs quote, you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. So that affirmation, which was the first commitment I ever stuck to consistently, was written by a woman named Louise Hay. And she is the creator of the publishing house, Hay House, which is one of the top personal development publishing houses in the world. And when I wrote my book, Be Seen, I was shopping it to all of these publishers and I really wanted a publisher to pick it up. I wanted it to have a big traditional publisher and everyone said no to me. I got rejected by every publisher that we pitched to. And then the last one that we talked to was Hay House. Louise Hay's publishing company. So I got to get on that call and say this story about my mom and the affirmation and how that was really the kickstart and everything. And everyone was in tears. And then they gave me my book deal, which is just wild. And I have a lot of weird dot connecting moments like that in my life. But to really come full circle to answer your question, it's that little knowing that I have instilled in me. And to the listener, because I know that there are people listening to this is not just about me, I do believe that we all have that little bit of knowing that said like, no, I'm not going to throw this away. I'm going to read it every day. I just knew that I was going to be okay. And so now I still tap into that as an adult, as an entrepreneur, when everything's blowing up, which it does. you know that game weekly. I have this weird knowing where it's like, I'll be okay.
Yeah. What's a message that girls are hearing from society that's damaging, telling them who they should be?
This is a really big question because I think there's not one thing. I mean, I feel it. So I'll just share with you my own personal experience because I'm not an expert of what all the other girls out there are feeling right now. I talk to a lot of women, but I'll tell you what I experience. As a 40-year-old woman, I do not have children, married, an entrepreneur, building a business, and on camera every single day. I am bombarded with images of not real women. I'm bombarded with images of women that all look pretty much exactly the same, the beauty standard, it depends what algorithm you're in. So let's talk about that. Because you could be in an algorithm that's all around hustle culture, and you could be in an algorithm that's all around your soft girl era. Or you could be in an algorithm that's all about you need to do Pilates and drink matcha. Or you could be in an algorithm that's all about you need to have a huge butt and you need to be a bodybuilder. It kind of depends. You could be in an algorithm that's obsessed with plastic surgery and get served up all of the plastic surgery content on planet Earth. What we're consuming has a lot to do with what we're searching, and the algorithm is going to feed you exactly what you're searching. So it's actually very, very, very scary. So I think what the problem is that we're being told who we should be based on what we're being served every single day on our phone. And we're forgetting, or at least for me, I am trying to check this all the time. And I love this conversation because like, Jen, you got to check it. Instead of letting the algorithm dictate who I want to be, it's who am I at my core and who do I really want to be? And I decide and I dictate what my algorithm is. And there's a lot of different ways now that we can tell our algorithm what we want to see only. And I think that that's an important thing for women to learn now as we move into this space where we're just getting bombarded with imagery and content that is going to try to tell us who we should be, what we should think, how we should look, and how we should dress. And to pivot this to people that do want to be influential in the world, because a lot of people that are listening to this are entrepreneurs. They want to influence people. They want to make an impact. They want to stand out. They want to get their business out there. Especially with the rise of AI and fake crap on the internet and whatever, the only thing that we really have to differentiate ourselves is our uniqueness and our unique point of view and the way that we authentically are in our stories and our truth and basically you are the only you. So then you have no competition if you just show up as you. But if we start to really like be the person that the algorithm is showing us that we need to be, and one day we decide we want to be a matcha girl, and one day we decide we want to be a bodybuilder girl, or one day we decide that we want to be just like Kim Kardashian, then we're not going to have our flag planted in the ground of anything that we truly believe in that's unique to us. And so we can very easily become just a carbon copy of all of the different people that we're observing on the internet. And then that is how you lose yourself.
I do think social media perpetuates that. Do you think that if you were handed a phone in high school, do you think that would have benefited your life in a way that you finally have this avenue to like push everything to? Or do you think it would have been a detriment and held you back from actually making good choices and the right decisions for yourself?
In high school, it would have been terrible. Terrible, because that was my issue. I had a horrible eating disorder and I was obsessed with fitting in with the girls and the way that I looked and everything. And I think that would have perpetuated it a lot. Like fitting in and the mean girl activity that goes on social media, I think would have been very bad. So I'm very grateful that I did not have that then. Listen, I love having access to social media now only because of the fact that I still slip up. Let's be real. Like I let it overcome me sometimes. I'll compare myself to other people sometimes. I'll scroll for a second and get down on myself sometimes.
Yeah.
I think we all do. And think somebody's further along than me, or somebody has better content than me, or I'm afraid, somebody said something negative about me, and then I'll go down a roller coaster. It's still unhealthy for me. I'm not an expert at navigating this. I don't know if anybody really is. I think that if somebody says that they are, then they're probably lying to some capacity, because it's really, really hard to navigate it. It's been built to make us addicted to it and to feel these feelings. However, I'm able to use it now as a creative outlet for myself. And like we said before we started recording, I'm having a lot of fun using social media as a creative outlet.
And this conversation, I think, is also so closely correlated with the desire to be liked.
Yeah.
Like, that's so human. But things that you're saying, it's like sometimes the truth requires like making a decision of not being liked. How do you incorporate that?
A lot of people come to me and they say, creating content's really challenging. It's exhausting. I get burnt out creating content. And I think that a big reason that people get burnt out creating, or they get exhausted by it, or it's very challenging for them, is because they're trying to fit the mold of what they think everybody would like. Because we don't get exhausted when we're just hanging out with our friends and just being ourselves. That's not exhausting. We don't get burnt out. If you're just hanging out like with your absolute best friend or with your wife, and you're just on the couch, like shooting the shit, being truly you, eating your favorite food, watching a movie, whatever, you're not going to get exhausted. And so this whole thing with social media and trying to portray be someone, portray a version of ourselves that other people are going to resonate with. I know that feeling because I was on a heavy metal talk show for 5 years and I hated heavy metal music. So I was exhausted all the time because I was putting on an act. I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't, and being someone that you're not is really exhausting. It takes a lot of energy. And recently I told you that content's become fun for me. And I think I've only recently allowed it to become fun was because I flipped the switch in my head and I finally decided that I am going to have to be okay with people not liking me. That has been the biggest struggle for me the majority of my life. I am a recovering people pleaser. I am a recovering codependent completely. I want everyone to be comfortable, okay, feel good, be good, no drama. You like me. What can I be for you to like me? Growing up, how can I put on a show for you so you can love me and applaud for me? It's ingrained in us as humans to care about what the tribe thinks of us. It's not about not caring what they think. It's about loving your dreams more than you care what other people think, and loving your why, and loving the activity that you're doing more than you care. And saying, okay, people are not going to like me, and that's okay.
I was talking to somebody last night, and we were having dinner, and I was like, you're better than me, and I'm going to try to beat you. And it's like this healthy competition.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like with women, that communication doesn't usually happen. Where it's like we're talking about our friends, and it's like, yeah, you could beat them on this.
I think it's awesome. Yeah, I've been creating a lot of content about this, but recently.
Yeah.
And I haven't talked about the way men do it versus the way that women do it, so I kind of love this. Women still do it. They just don't, like you said, they don't talk about it. And so they're more like lurker energy.
Yeah.
They watch, they keep an eye on people, they keep tabs on them. And I think they secretly are like, I could beat that person, but they don't say it out loud. The way that women interact with one another as far as competing and like jealousy and fake niceness, all that stuff is definitely a thing, and it definitely happens, and it's way different than the way that dudes connect with one another. And so why do I think it is? I think we're programmed, women, since the beginning of time, to be good girls and to do the right thing and to say the right thing and be nice. This is what's happening on social with women. And you can tell who's jealous of you just by their activity on social media. And it just is. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like the women that watch each other, they watch. So they're always like watching your stories. They say that they're your friend, but they watch every single thing that you do, and they never comment. They never text you. They never call you. They never celebrate with you, but they watch. That is a telltale sign that there's something going on there, because if they were a true friend that really wanted you to win and really wanted to be a participant in your life, they would like emoji, they would heart, they would comment, they would call you and say, hey girl, I saw you do that on social. It was absolutely epic. But right now there's this whole thing that's happening, and where people are just watching and keeping tabs on people. And that's their way of, I guess, being competitive and like, okay, I know where they're at and I'm going to just keep watching them.
Well, it's my insecurity competing with your insecurity.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm seeing whatever someone else is doing. That's going to make me feel insecure because I'm like, oh, I didn't get, oh, that's so, like, even if you feel that, like, it's like when you were single and someone got engaged.
Yep.
And you're like, that's so awesome.
Yes.
And then you're like, for 3 seconds, you feel that genuinely and you're like, oh, but like, what am I doing with my life? You know, it's like an immediate like self-centeredness in response to stuff. I guess the thing that I ask in this is like, what would you say to women that are being told that they're too much?
What's too much? Be too much. Be more. I think my belief is that we were given the spirit and the energy that we've been given since birth for a very, very important reason. And every little girl has it. I'm sure your daughter has it. She is much, much, much. When we were little, we are much. There is no two in our vocabulary. It is like, look at me. I'm going to dance on this table. I am going to let my belly hang out. I'm just going to be fabulous. I'm going to scream and cry for what I want. I'm going to ask you to love me. I'm going to ask you to kiss me. I'm going to ask you to hug me. Like, we don't care. We have the muchness. And then as we get older, society tells us, oh, that's too much. And then we start to take that spirit and that spunk and that energy, which is so authentic. That's the real authenticity. That's the real truth. And we dim it down. The thing that will set you free and make you not feel burnt out and not feel exhausted when you're trying to create and you're trying to be out there in the world is to reconnect with that truly authentic energy and spark that you were given when you were a little girl. And to allow yourself to express yourself in this world however the hell you want. I am a big personal development junkie. Love it so much. I'm in this space, love trying to be better, love growth, love the journey, love it. But I do think that it is possible to go a little bit too far trying to perfect ourselves so much. And we try to perfect ourselves so much that we actually end up hurting ourselves. There's in my opinion, I think that the way that the human experience is that we're never going to be completely balanced. Like the last 4 years of my life were really the era, I guess you could say, of meaning I had some of the most wonderful things happening in my life ever of all time, like ever. Getting married, publishing a book, making a lot of money, becoming really successful in my business, while simultaneously the worst things on planet Earth were also happening behind the scenes. And there was no balance. There was a day where, oh my God, the best thing, like monumental, unbelievable thing is happening. And behind the scenes, the worst possible thing is happening at the exact same time. And I think as humans, we can have that duality. Is that balance? No, it's like all over the place. But that is life. And the longer that I live, I'm not that old, I'm only 40, but what I've realized, the more years I have on this planet, the more that I realize that it's just all kind of a shit show and no one's going to be perfect with it. And any guru on the internet that says that they can be perfect with it, I wouldn't listen to because they're not perfect. I know a lot of them. Love them. And I'm not judging them. I know them and it's okay because they're humans and nobody's perfect.
Well, it's tough to me when we have conversations about authenticity because I think that's a common thing that's spoken about, especially in the keynote world. The amount of people I've seen say something on camera and then you turn the cameras off and you realize like they don't actually represent who that person is. It's wild.
Oh, you're telling me?
Yeah.
That's normal because they're a person, but here's what I think authenticity is. You don't necessarily need to talk about your divorce while you're going through it. I don't believe that we need to talk about all of our open wounds. People ask me a lot of the time, like, when is it okay to not be seen, especially if you're a very visible person? And I talk about the analogy of like an open wound versus a scar. And I don't like to share wounds that are bleeding. Like if something's bleeding and you're just trying to fix it, it's not necessarily something that the whole world needs to know.
Yeah.
I like to share, if you're a thought leader or someone that's trying to lead people and be an authority, I like to wait until it's some form of a scar where you've learned from it and you can come and talk about it from a place where it's not bleeding all over everyone and you're just trying to fix it. But here's what I will say to someone that wants to be known as a thought leader in your space. It's your responsibility, if you want to be a coach or a leader or an educator, to be practicing what you preach and not just like being perfect in that practice. Because hey, again, you could be a relationship expert that gets a divorce and that's normal. But being authentic in what you're practicing.
What's something that you've unlearned that's made you who you are?
Yeah, I think when I first came into this space, that's why I wrote my book. I was terrified to actually be seen. I was being seen, but I wasn't being seen. There's a way to be seen very carefully and very produced. And in the beginning of me creating content and putting myself out there, I had a lot of limiting beliefs about who I needed to be in order for people to like me, accept me, and approve of me. For instance, when I first started speaking, the way that I started speaking a little bit before this, but I say like my speaker boot camp happened when I met my husband, and he was doing these events in New York City called Unfair Advantage Live. And it was him and an audience, and he just ran this whole event himself. And it was to connect entrepreneurs to the media. He was teaching all around, like, how do you pitch the media? How do you get in the media? It was this amazing event. And I was his girlfriend, and I would go to this event, and I would sit in the audience, and I would watch him. And I was in awe of him. And then finally we came to a place where he brought me on stage, and we started hosting these events together. Grant, the first time that I stepped on stage with that man, there's pictures of me. It is horrifically embarrassing. I stood 3 feet behind him, like he wanted me to stand next to him and speak alongside him. I thought I was not good enough. No one was going to like me. He was the star, and I had to be behind him. I stood like this. I was afraid to say anything because I was absolutely terrified that I wasn't what those people wanted. And I think that a lot of people step into visibility with that mindset or that story or that limiting belief, like, I'm not good enough yet as I am, so I have to be someone that I'm not, or hold back a little bit, or not show who I really am, because that fear of someone judging you for who you really are is way scarier than someone judging you for who you're pretending to be. Let's just be real. So if you play it safe and you just stand 3 feet behind who you really are or that person, then you're a little bit more protected. And I would say to someone that's just getting started to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Because I think the main reason that people are afraid to put themselves out there is because they are afraid of judgment. They're afraid of people not liking what they look like, what they sound like, their ideas, thinking they're stupid, judging them. But here's the problem with that. If we're creating content on the internet, it's not for us. It's for someone else.
Yeah.
It's for the person watching the video. And I think so many people forget that why. They make it all about the ego thing, which is totally normal to slip into that. I've slipped into that many times. I want the engagement. I want the likes. Oh my God, I hope I look in that video, whatever. I get it. But we need to check ourselves, because if we show up online, remembering I have an acronym, HOPE, HOPE, it stands for help one person every day. If we wake up in the morning and we think, I am creating today, not for me, but to help one person who's going to watch this video, and they're going to say, oh my gosh, I needed to hear that today. Thank God they showed up. And you just create content for them. The ego around what you look like, what you sound like, if people will like you, it's all going to go away, because we don't get nervous or perform if we're just showing up to help our friend. If you called me and you were like, I need advice, Jen. I'm freaking out. Can you just like stop by and help me out with something? Like, I really just need your advice, and you're all upset. I would not care what I look like or what I sound like. I wouldn't forget the words. I wouldn't like put myself together or try to perform for you. I would come over and I would just talk to you like a normal human being. And if we can have that why, meaning the why is just to help, just to serve, not to get the like, not to get the engagement, it will help us not have that performative weird nature. You won't stand 3 feet behind the person that you're trying to be like.
I guess there's another aspect where women are finding validation or seeking validation from individual people as well. I'm trying to shape myself and be confident and be true to myself, but still at the same time, I'm looking for a partner, and I want to like make myself what society is telling me I should be like in order to attract someone.
Yeah, well, if you do that, you're going to attract the wrong person.
In what way?
We attract what we are. From my own personal experience, the only way I was able to attract my husband, who's the perfect partner for me, was when I just started being exactly who I am, because I want to repel the people that aren't right for me, especially when it comes to a partner. So if you're searching for a partner, I think the number one key is to be okay with totally deflecting everybody that's wrong. There was a very big mindset shift that I made right before I met my husband. And I remember it like it was yesterday. It was wild. I remember having this switch that flipped. And I said to myself, I am completely and totally okay being alone. And I had never said that up until that point. I wanted to meet someone. I was manifesting my husband. I was trying. I was putting myself out there. I was being whoever I needed to be on all of these dates. I was like, Tinder, freaking Bumble, whatever it was. And it was exhausting. And I finally got so sick of it. And I remember saying, the guy that I meet is not going to give a shit if I don't drink. In fact, he probably doesn't drink either. The guy that is for me is going to live a really healthy lifestyle, and he's going to love personal development and manifestation and all of that stuff. And I'm going to talk about it completely because I only want to meet someone that's into this stuff. The guy that I meet is not going to care if I want to go to bed at 8:00 at night every night because I want to get up early and go to the gym. In fact, he wants to do that too. So you know what? Until I find that guy, I'm completely and totally okay with being alone. It was like switch, and I didn't give a shit anymore. And then I met my husband, and I remember the day I found out he didn't drink was while my husband's sober, in recovery. And we went on 2 or 3 dates, and he posted an Instagram story, and now he tells me he did it for me, but it looked like it wasn't for me. But he posted an Instagram story of a wheatgrass shot, and it said, the only shots I take, because he didn't want to tell me that he didn't drink because he didn't know that I didn't drink. And I see this and I'm like, how is this possible? It's just, when you attract what you are. And so if you show up inauthentically, you will attract someone that is interested in you for somebody that you're not. And that is not a sustainable relationship.
How do you balance that with not opting for loneliness? You still have to put yourself out there. You still have to do something that's uncomfortable or out of your norm in order to put yourself in a position where you'd find that person. For you, was it just I'm going to be doing personal development stuff, and then I'm going to go to the run club, or I'm going to go to the coffee club, or are you going to is it that you put yourself in this position to meet? I guess, yeah. How did you meet him? Story? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was very committed to using the law of attraction at the time to manifest my husband. So I did a couple of things that were very woo-woo. And I'm not a real woo-woo girl, but I'm kind of like Jenna Kutcher says, mixing the woo with the work. And so I like to mix the woo with the work. I was convinced that I was going to brainwash myself to be completely okay with being alone in the way that I did that. Being alone while also living my life and putting myself out there. I made myself believe that I already had my person. So I had this picture on a vision board of the back of a guy's head. And every morning I would wake up and I would talk to him as if he was my husband. And
that sounds crazy. I'm just going to call that
Go
out.
for it. It was batshit. I don't really care because it works so well. And I would wake up and I'd be like, good morning, my love. I love you so much. I cannot wait to meet you. If you see me, I'm wearing my black turtleneck, black pants. Come on right up to me. I'm waiting for you. I can't wait for us to start an empire together. Yeah. I know you're an entrepreneur. I know that you've been previously married. I know you have tattoos. I know you don't drink. And I love you and I cannot wait to meet you. I'd write him letters. I wrote, there's so many crazy things, Grant, that I did in order to brainwash myself. But here's what that did. I believe that the subconscious mind does not know the difference between a real memory and a fake one. So I was convincing myself that my man is out there looking for me. He's there. I know, and he's with me. And I don't feel lonely because I had a very full life. I had full business that I was running. I was happy. I was I loved my life at that time. I was just okay. And now I know that my guy is on his way. My not the 6 foot tall millionaire, blah, 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 but the guy that's perfect for me, that's going to love me for exactly who I am. And what I would do essentially is I would just do things out of the ordinary. So you want to know how I actually met my husband? When I was a personal trainer, my very first job after I got my acting career kind of blew up, I decided to become a personal trainer. And that was okay, I love working out. This is a good gig for me. And maybe I could still act kind of on the side, whatever. So I get a job at this very fancy gym in Manhattan. And I start immediately taking my clients out of the gym and training them across the street so I could get all the money for the session. I became very entrepreneurial. I was screw this. This is stupid. You're paying me $30 and I could make $150 just across the street.
Yeah.
So I start building this business before I even realize I'm building a business, and I get fired from the gym. And the fitness manager of the gym, she's like, you can never come back here ever again. Can't walk back into this building as a trainer. You can't be here as a client. You are just no longer ever allowed here. It was very dramatic and ridiculous. So I get kicked out of this gym. I go off and I build a very successful personal training business in Manhattan. This was my first company, thriving, crushing it. A couple years later, I'm doing this manifestation stuff with my husband. I want to meet him. I'm thinking about him. I'm completely okay alone. I know he's on his way to me. And I'm walking up and down the streets of New York City and I walk past the gym. this gym used to be called Reebok Sports Club. And I noticed that the sign on the door now said Equinox. I'm like, oh, Equinox acquired this gym. But that means the people that work there probably don't work there anymore. And then I just got this like weird intuition. Like that said that you got to go back in that gym. There's someone there that you need to meet because it was a very prestigious gym. There was a lot of like powerful people there. It was expensive. It was like where Adam Sandler works out, Madonna. I'm like, you know what? The best investment that I can do in my future is to get a membership at this gym. So right when I got the download, I remember thinking there's someone there you need to meet. I walk in, I start training there. Within about a week, I bump into a guy that I had dated when I worked there. He was a personal trainer. His name was Carlos. What's up, Carlos? And he comes up to, you know, when you bump into an ex and you're doing really well.
Yeah.
It's like the best feeling. I'm like thriving. He's like, how are you? What are you doing? I'm like, I have my own business. I'm doing that, you know, whatever. And he's like, oh, that's interesting. There's a guy that works out here that I think you need to meet. I think he could help you. His name is Chris. And Carlos, my ex-boyfriend, sends me Chris Winfield's Facebook page. And that year was like my year of personal development. And I decided to have a word of the year that year. Have you ever done that?
Yes.
Okay, you create a word?
Yeah.
My word of the year was connection.
Okay.
Which is one of the reasons why I went back into that gym, to connect with people, network. Chris, I Google him, and his nickname is the Super Connector. So I'm like, I think I need to know the Super Connector guy in my year of connection. I think he could probably help me with my business. So we start messaging and we meet up for a walk in Central Park. It's very meet cute. But I did not think I was on a date. I thought I was going to meet the Super Connector guy that was going to help me with my business. And Chris walked up to me and he pulled down his sunglasses and he goes, who's luckier than us? And I don't know if it was like a pickup line. It could have been, very well could have been. But it was really because it was like a beautiful day in the afternoon and we were meeting for a walk. And then, you know, the walk lasted until 5 p.m. And turns out that he was all of these qualities. But still at the end of the day, I was like, I don't know what just happened. Like, did I just go on a date? It was very weird. But a few days later, it ended up being, okay, this is very real. And so do I think that I manifested Chris from the universe magically? No, I think it was a combination of a lot of things, because when I went on that walk with Chris, I was completely and totally okay with the fact that I was exactly as I was. I had done all of that work to be like, I'm not desperate. I'm not trying to get someone to pick me. Whereas prior, on any other dates or meeting with people, I was like, are you my husband? Who do I have to be for you to like me? Do I have to have a sip of this wine? Do I have to pretend that I like finance? Do I have to pretend that I like whatever it is you're talking about where I really don't give a shit? By the time I got on this walk with Chris, I was like, this is who I am. I was wearing like a workout outfit with no makeup on. I did not care.
Yeah.
And I feel like, because I knew that my guy was with me. If I am true to who I am, the perfect guy for me will arrive. But if I lie and I pretend to be somebody that I'm not, I'm going to attract everything that's not right for me.
What is the difference between a woman that knows her worth and a woman that just says she does?
The difference between a woman that knows her worth and a woman who just says she does is a woman that knows her worth. I don't think she really needs to say that she knows her worth. I think that the most confident people, the most wealthy people, the people that are the happiest, they don't really go around screaming how wealthy they are. They don't go around screaming how aligned they are. They don't go around screaming how confident and how fabulous their life is. They don't need to do that because they just have it. We are all insecure at some level. I mean, and different levels throughout different times in our life. And I feel like it also, you have ebbs and flows of insecurity.
Yeah.
Depending on what's going on in your life, depending on who you're interacting with, depending on, you know, how good you're doing with your sleep and your workouts and your health and stuff like that. And I think that to be so black and white and have such black and white opinions about people is kind of silly.
Yeah.
Gary Vee talks about the gray a lot, the and a lot. And I really lean into more gray and because there's so much more to this than just like, I'm never going to say that I know my worth again, because women that know their worth don't say they know their worth. But I would say that the majority of women that I know that are confident do not need to go around saying how confident they are.
Going back to your husband, I don't want to paint you as a relationship guru. What are some things that you've identified in him every woman should have as a minimum standard?
And thank you for not painting me as a relationship expert because I am not. And my relationship is very far from perfect.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
love my husband very much.
Yes.
But we have a lot of issues.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Yes,
Yeah.
always. And he would come in here and say the exact same thing. In fact, people come to our events and watch our shit because they like to watch us fight with each other.
Yeah. But I'm thinking there's probably a lot of women that are saying they're probably in that state where they're like, I'm looking for that person.
Yeah.
What is like a minimum character trait that is really, really important?
Well, here's what I'll say from my relationship, because I don't know what it is for all you ladies out there, but I'll tell you for me. One of the things that I value the most about Chris is, and it's very, actually, I do think that this is kind of rare for men. Chris has always, no matter what is happening, been my number one fan and has wanted to elevate me. He's wanted me to shine. He has never once ever tried to say, oh, you're shining too bright, or let's take it down. He's actually gone out of his way. When we started doing business together, it was the Chris Winfield show. He was the brand and I came in as the girlfriend now alongside him. And people are like, what are you doing? Why are you bringing this girl on? And he would say to people, I know that she's better than me. Pay attention to her. And he actually stepped back and rose me up. And he had zero ego about it. And he just wanted me to shine. And he's been doing that our entire marriage. No matter what's going on in our relationship, no matter what's going on in our personal life, he loves my dreams just as much as I do. I think maybe even a little bit more than me. And he lifts me up. He pushes me out there and he says, you go shine. I am your biggest fan and I will be here for you every step of the way, trying to help you win. And I'm also his biggest fan. And I think that no matter what happens, because shit's going to happen in relationships in life, lots of shit. No matter what happens, we are always each other's biggest fan.
Did you feel that immediately?
Chris is definitely the type of person that wants to help everybody he meets.
Yeah.
So yes, actually, the day that we met and we took that long walk, that was like 5 hours. At the end of the walk, he was already introducing me to about 3 or 4 people that he wanted me to work with to help me in my business. So yes, and then every day after that, he was like, "Oh, here I have another idea for you, another idea for you," and I was like, "Wow, this guy like really cares." He's just that type of person. That he will do that with you. If you meet him, he will try to immediately help you with everything that you need. And that's why he's like the super connector and he loves to give.
I need we need to hang out.
You definitely do. You definitely do. But yeah, I think that that's the thing, the through line of our marriage, of what keeps us so solid. And it's not just career-wise. It's a selfless feeling of, I really, really, really want my partner to shine and to live the fullest version of their life.
It is interesting that each person I've talked to, every woman I've talked to that's extremely successful monetarily, their husband does fit a very specific mold. You're the teammate or you're the cheerleader. And in most like marriage dynamics, if you're the husband and you have a cheerleader wife, it's like she's being dragged every step of the way. And then if you have like a teammate that's in it with you, those are like it's very tumultuous, but they love fighting or they love just like getting their hands dirty. So that's like an Alex and Layla type of vibe where it's like, hey, we're going to like competitively push each other to the next tier. I found that every woman that's very successful that I've met so far has a cheerleader husband, and they intentionally take that frame of like, I'm going to care about your dreams as much as you do, which is like such a refreshing thing that I do think is like it's like a unicorn type of personality because it takes like a lot of self-confidence to be like, I don't have to be the front. Did you just get lucky? Or if someone's listening to this and being like, man, I would love to find a guy that's like willing to take that frame. Like, do you think that exists or can that be just like manifested?
I think a little bit of luck plays into it. I do. I prayed a lot. I asked the universe, I asked God all the time. And again, going back to like that knowing, I kind of knew, even though I'd go to every Thanksgiving dinner with my grandparents and they would be like, when are you going to bring your husband?
Yeah.
When are you going to meet someone? You're too picky. Why does he, like, why can't you just meet this person?
Yeah.
And I just always was like, don't worry. I used to go on these really long epic walks in New York. This was my favorite thing to do when I lived in New York. I would walk all the way from the Upper West Side all the way downtown and I would just listen to podcasts. And now I call them wonder walks. They're kind of a little wooey. Are you ready? Like,
I'm with it.
Woo. I would do a couple of different things. Half of the walk would be me listening to music, envisioning that I was the person that I wanted to become. So walking through Times Square with my husband, holding his hand, feeling so happy, feeling like the entrepreneur that I wanted to become, the speaker that I wanted to become, and just walking as that version of myself. part of the walk was also calling my dad and sitting on the phone with my dad for hours while I would walk and telling him about how excited I was to meet my partner. And he would be like, okay, I believe you, because he was a little worried, but we would just have these really long conversations of how like, I know I'm going to find him. I just had a lot of belief that he was on his way. I put myself in positions to receive him.
Yeah.
So it did take some action. I had to walk into that gym. And then when I had to go on the walk with him, and then when I went on the walk with him, I had to like go out on the date when he asked me. And then like after a couple weeks when he got freaked out and he pulled away, I had to like stick in there. When crazy things happened in the beginning of our relationship, I had to hang in there and have the hard conversations and do the work. And we've been doing a lot of work in our marriage to keep it going. So I think it's a really, really big, I think everything in life is a combination of belief that's so much bigger than what we can feel and touch and see and hear. And also action.
Yeah.
And doing.
There's a lot of things that you've done, it seems like in each category of your life where you did make an intentional choice. You made an intentional choice to be like, I'm not going to be a personal trainer here. I'm going to start my own business on this other side. You made an intentional choice to say, I don't want to be on the sidelines watching my partner be on stage. I want to be on that stage. You made an intentional choice being from I'm embodying these things to I want to write about it and I want to communicate about it and I want to represent it. What's a piece of advice that could help someone make those choices earlier in their life so they don't have to make them after they've made a bunch of mistakes and have it be from a negative learned experience, but from they just so happen to be hearing a podcast and hearing someone say, I wish I did this earlier?
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is from Stephen Pressfield. You know Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art? Great book. You should read it.
Okay.
It's really good, especially for creative people. The quote is, start before you're ready. Don't prepare, begin. Remember, the enemy is not your lack of preparation. It's not the difficulty of the project or the state of the marketplace or the emptiness in your bank account. The enemy is resistance. The enemy is your chattering brain, to which is if you give as much as a nanosecond, will start producing excuses, alibis, transparent self-justifications, and a million reasons as to why you can't, shouldn't, won't do the thing you know you need to do. And I know when I look back at my life, at all of the really great things that happened when I broke through and I made something happen that was like wild, like, holy crap, this is exactly what I envisioned I would be doing. It was never because I waited for a lucky moment to happen. It was always because I didn't feel ready. I was absolutely terrified. I felt like I was batshit crazy, and I went anyway. And I did it without preparing. Most of the things I do without preparing. Most of the things I do without a plan. And I'm not saying that that's the most responsible thing in the world, but I do know myself, and I know from my experience that in order to gain momentum, confidence, and clarity, you have to take the first action step to learn. And no, I've never gotten completely clear on what to do just by sitting around and thinking about it and planning. I've always taken the leap and then backtrack from there because I've already gotten my foot on the ground and then created the momentum from some kind of crazy action step. So if I could give one piece of advice to people that are sitting on the sidelines waiting for their life to happen, and they're like, why is nothing happening to me? I'm visualizing. I did a vision board. I'm writing down my goals. It's probably because you are overanalyzing the first step. And I think that fear shows up in a lot of really sneaky ways. It shows up like perfectionism. I gotta wait until it's perfect, right? Like I can't launch my podcast until we're talking to you about my podcast. I was waiting to launch my podcast until it was perfect. And then I was like, screw it. I'm never going to launch this podcast unless I just sit in the floor of my closet and talk into my iPhone. And that was how I launched it.
Yeah.
We got to just start. And you're never going to be ready. I mean, this is just so, run-of-the-mill personal development, but it really is the thing that has gotten me to where I am now. Sitting in the front row at a mastermind and raising my hand and asking a stupid question. Sitting at a table with people that I don't know, introducing myself and following up. Putting my name in the ring for something that I never thought that I was worthy of. Turning to my left and saying to Eric Thomas, I'm going to be the best motivational speaker of all time. Posting a shit ton of content that was not perfect, not ready, not polished, not produced, and just going. Getting up on stages when I had no idea what the hell I was going to say and just standing there and maybe even sucking and shitting the bed, but doing it and then learning from it next time. Or even I do an Instagram live every day of my life. I've been doing Instagram lives for 3 years, every single day while I put my makeup on. You joined me the other day doing that.
Yeah.
The first time I did that, I was so petrified to do it. No one showed up, but I did it because I was like, I'm never going to get good at communicating if I don't practice. So I got to practice. So here we go. We are just doing it. Do the damn thing.
One thing I will say is like, there's nothing that you said that I don't see the truth in. Like, I don't think you're trying to, like, there's not a point where you're trying to be impressive to me in this conversation or be impressive to an audience. You're not trying to like say that I'm better than you or say that you have things figured out. Like, there's everything that you're communicating is like very much like I'm still in the process. I just have a lot of respect for you in that, because I think I feel seen. Like, I'm someone that's very insecure. I'm someone that makes very like that feels that makes fear-based decisions, and I have a tough time. I've been comfortable looking at social media as a character persona, and it's easier for me to be like an interviewer versus like a source because I'm scared of like having my own thoughts. I was telling somebody yesterday, I was like, no one wants to listen to a 29-year-old like pontificate. It's like no one's clicking on that. But even the way that you're communicating is making me realize like that's okay. I don't need to pontificate. I can just exist, and that's sufficient. And my hope is that people that watch this feel encouraged that they can exist and they don't have to be perfect. And sometimes it's just important to do the inputs. So thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you for your energy. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. This was awesome. And thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should remove any of that from the podcast. I loved it.
Cool.